And a couple of great moments in that game because we see both FJ Buteau and Connor Trenholm get their first goals. Tell us about the moments for those guys. That's probably a feeling that never gets old for a coach, I guess, seeing a guy get his first goal.
It's awesome. There's no doubt in these two players, and they're just going about their business the way they would and try to do the best they can for our club, and things go their way, and it'll continue to go more and more their way with both of these guys. They'll get a lot more.
Exciting week for a couple of guys involved with the Eagles organization. We'll start with Egor Sokolov. Quite the story. He's not with the Eagles now, but still very much around and part of the team, and he's a second-round draft pick. Very impressive for someone who was bypassed twice. Tell us about Egor's path to the NHL.
I mean, that really is. And you see how hard it is to get picked. We were hoping a few more guys of ours would go. Egor is a 19-year-old from last year, missed 2 drafts already. For him to get drafted at all is a big deal. But drafted up in the second round is outstanding. That's some pretty elite territory there. Ottawa obviously thought a lot of them. They're not the only ones. But for a guy like Egor, he left nothing unanswered. If there was ever something he had to work on over those last 3 years, he did it. He had a tremendous summer on top of that to give them no reason not to take you, and he did that and did a great job with it.
You look at Ryan Francis, goes in the 5th round to Calgary. He's someone you said the scouts just had so many questions about him, and obviously Calgary liked their answers. People will look at him. He's not the biggest guy, but such high-end skill. Tell us about his path to getting drafted.
It's a tremendous accomplishment. I don't know what his draft prospects were coming out of his second year or what he thought they were coming into last year with us, but he had a tremendous season. Everybody watched him more than double his point totals and take on leadership roles and really come on the scene in a big way. So for him, I thought he could went higher. There's nothing wrong with being drafted 5th round in the National Hockey League, but his skill level is extremely high, and I think he's got 3rd round skill, let's say. You just never know what's going to happen in drafts. I've spoke to Calgary since then, and they're elated that they got him in the 5th. Just an opening to another door. Anybody that was drafted in the National League draft here is trying to get signed now. So now he's putting his focus on getting a contract and getting signed by the club. And it doesn't matter when he was drafted. If he gets that contract, he gets that contract.
Obviously, after the draft is when you look to see which guys will get invited. And I know we're disappointed to see William Gamar and Ivan not get the call, but have you had conversations with anybody regarding them? And how much of an inspiration is Egor to those guys, knowing that if you don't get the first time, you might get the second or third time?
Element, LaRose, McCormick from last year, Baker, all these guys had interest as well and didn't have a chance to go. But like you said, there could be opportunities coming up quickly. They all had automatic tryouts if the draft were to take place when it was supposed to, and then move forward to training camp here now in September for the National League, but none of that happened. They're guys that had great seasons and great progression. If they were on the map before last year or not, they are now, and they just have to keep pressing forward. But Egor had an absolutely exceptional season. And when you look at our 2 boys that were picked, Franny and Iggy, they both have certain things in common. They spend tireless hours at their trade, on the ice, off the ice. They're always trying to figure out ways to get better. They never stop. That's part of what it takes.
We look ahead to this weekend against Charlottetown, one of the 2 Maritime teams you didn't see in training camp, but they do have a lot of guys from last season's roster, so familiarity there for sure. What type of game do you expect against what should be a strong opposition?
That'll be a mature team. They play a certain way. They don't like to give up a lot of offense. They work extremely hard for their offense, but they do put that work in. If you're going to have holes in your game, you're going to have a tough night. If you're going to take shortcuts, you're going to have a tough night with them. We're going to have to put together a real good game to compete and hopefully come out on top.